How should you care about tech of your fintech startup? In this presentation, I will show how to do it. My name is Kamil Waldoch. I am a tech lead in Profil Software, a Python software house located in Poland that helps startups over the world to build their amazing applications. Last 3 years, I mostly spent on a fintech startup called Dealflow, the biggest equity crowdfunding startup in Norway. I've also helped other fintech startups to set up their technical goals to run their businesses in the right way from the technical point of view. So I'm not a CTO, why should I care about IT? You may say that you hire people to take care about it, so you don't have to. Well, when you plan to start the application for your startup, you probably can describe all the amazing features this app will serve. But even if it looks very simple, like Google main page, there can be a lot of very complex solutions under the hood. You don't have to know how all of these things should be done, but it's really good to be aware of these aspects, to ask the questions to your software provider or your development team. When you ask questions before you start the development process, you can be sure that your app will meet the deadlines and be sure that your app will grow instead of be a pain point of your business. I'd like to tell you about the technical aspects of your startup, but I promise that I will use as little as possible technical magic terms. Government and regulations. Yeah, I know that you probably want to conquer all the fintech world, but you have to start somewhere, and every country has its own regulations. It's especially important in the fintech world because financial regulations are very strict. The regulations can determine a lot of technical aspects, like where physically your servers or cloud have to be placed. There is a lot of magic and marketing bullshit about selling cloud solutions, but you have to know that it isn't something virtual. There are real machines placed somewhere in the world, and you can be obliged to have machines in one of the countries pointed out by the government. Security. We have to be aware what kind of securities are required by the government. You can ask the government department that oversees the security, or can find a lawyer that specializes in IT law to assure that your website SSL certificate is strong enough. Check if you can use free or cheap certificate, or maybe you should use something more secure with extended validation of your company that builds the trust to your application. Access control management. You have to precisely set who can access the sensitive data in your application. It's very tempting to give everyone access to everything because it shortens the process in your business. People don't have to ask others to proceed with some pieces of information. You may say that you don't want to have a corporational culture because it's a startup and you work in agile way with a friendly flat structure. Yeah, that's good, but especially in fintech world, you should just have to be a bit less cool and carefree. Security. Take it seriously, really. Despite of formal regulations, your app has to be secure. When you have, let's say, an e-commerce shop, there is some basic information you store in databases. But in fintech, you need to know much more about your users, and these pieces of information just can't be lost and taken over. Tracking changes. It should be one of the first features in your application. You need to know what happened with your data. It's really good to have a place in the application where you can find answers for the following questions. Was this information changed or not? Who changed it? When it happened? And what was the state of this information before the change? Let's say you're collecting money from investors. When you look at the investment amount, you have to know if there is an original value or not. Then you need to know who made this change to ask for the reason of the change. Notifications and monitoring. You need to know when something goes wrong in your business, even if you are not a technical person. From my experience, you need to have two versions of notifications. The dashboard. You can go to dashboard when you want to check if everything works fine. When you suspect that your application is slow or not running well, go to dashboards and you will know if it's a matter of maybe your internet connection, or maybe it's really something wrong happens with the application. Then you will know if it's worth to wake up your application administrator on Sunday at 3 a.m. Alarms and notifications. You should be automatically alarmed when something goes wrong. Alarms should be reliable. That means that source of alarms should be independent from all of the application cloud and servers you have. So when everything is broken, this alarm will work and let you know that something is going not good. The project management tools. You may think it's something for big teams, but even if you are two people in the project, like you and a developer, you need to have some kind of project management tool. It can be a very simple, like Trello, where you can create simple boards, or something very advanced like Jira, where you can do literally everything about project management. No matter what is your choice, it's really important to have it. The most important thing is to start using it consistently for every single task. It's very tempting to just say what should be changed, to not waste time on writing down tasks. I assure you, the time spent on writing down what should be done is never a waste of time. You will be surprised by how much and when it helps you. I often go back to previously completed tasks to recall the business context. Remember, this is a tool that you will have to use to communicate with your dev team, to request changes and track the progress. That's why the project management tool should also suit to you. So feel free to propose some solutions if you find something that you prefer. Continuous integration and continuous delivery. This is a very technical aspect, but it will affect the whole process of creating of your application. It's a must tool that needs to be used during development. Why it is so important? Well, if you are a driver, you know that when you press the start button in your car, there is a short while when computer is checking a lot of parameters like air pressure, airbags condition, oil level, and of course much more. But you don't have to think about it, and you can't omit it. It just have to be done. The same thing is a continuous integration and delivery for development process. When developers introduce some changes, automatic check all of the technical parameters and tests are running. It helps you to be sure that no bad, not working version of your application will never be deployed and published to customers. It was a short introduction to working on a tech part of Fintech startup. I hope it will be useful for you to work and to talk with your software providers. If you have more questions, please reach me by email.